So, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's session. We really appreciate you taking the time out and being a part of today's webinar. I would like to hand the session over to our today's presenter, who is Mr. Puneet Duneja, and he will basically walk us through today's topic, which is complementing an agile mindset with technical practices. So, Puneet, the session's over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Sushil. Uh, Thank you for the introduction. So let's start. Uh, Let me give introduction about myself. I'm an agile coach and train organizations in different certification programs. For example, CSD, Certified Scrum Developer. Uh, I do that with Kanban University as Team Kanban practitioners. Uh, Train around 3,000 uh, members so far. I take up classes for design principles and practices also, conduct classes for DevOps and Kanban space also. I conduct classes, certification and non-certification ones. So here, what I've observed so far in the industry, that having an agile mindset is is good, definitely good, very much required for bringing in agility in the system, but that is not sufficient. So I feel that I feel that some of the organizations have understood the meaning of having agile mindset, but then they are not able to connect with uh, what is there in the technology, and then technology space, and then agile mindset, how they can connect together and then help in increasing agility to the next level. So that's the reason of bringing in this webinar. So I work with KnowledgeHut. So let's start. Let me introduce what we are going to talk about in this session. Let us look at this. The purpose of this webinar is, I'm not that used to this tool. Just a second. Give me 1 second. It's just when I'm moving one. Just a second. Okay, the purpose of this webinar is to understand agile mindset is crucial, though not sufficient. Though not sufficient. Why is it so? We'll go deeper. How technical practices complement the agile mindset. We'll look at agile mindset. We'll understand what agile mindset is. I'll try to understand from you all of you. So we will have this session as conversational rather than being driven as a readout from PPT. That's how I I do the session. I keep it conversational. So to keep it conversational, I would put some questions to you, and I would want you to think through, and then come back with your own version of the answers. Need not be definitions. So without taking any further time, let's start. Let's quickly try to understand what is agile. What do you think about being agile as an individual? If you can tell me, any of you, that will
Hi,
help
Grace
me.
here.
Yes, please go ahead.
To me, it is like the product and the process goes hand in hand. Ignore from me the background voice. It is about the product and the people that goes hand in hand.
Okay, okay. So if we say, could you please tell your name, please?
Her name is Grace.
Sorry.
Her name is Grace. Grace.
Okay, great.
GRAC. Grace.
Yeah, okay. Grace, so my question is, Grace, if I ask you a question, uh, if 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 you need to define yourself as an agile person, as an individual, you are agile, how would you explain that?
So I'm a process oriented person. I have to stick to any process that is in line to my current organization or the team that I'm working in.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. What do you understand by being agile as an individual? Then we'll move to team, then move to department. We'll see that because it should start from bottom up. And obviously, when we talk about the transformation that happens top down and bottom up together. Yeah. Anyone else?
Anyone else from the audience, feel free to just have an interaction with us. Grace,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you for your interaction. But we have Anil, we have Hussein, we have Ifra Khan, there's Karthik, Prakash, Rajesh, Rosie.
Yeah, so I think it's a set of values and principle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So what if I say, that being agile means being active?
Mm-hmm.
A cricket player, though may not follow the processes the way we follow in our organizations, but then still a cricket player can also be an agile individual. So being active, being collaborative, being responsive, being alert, that makes us agile as individuals. Do you agree with me?
Correct.
Not only
Agree.
this, not only this, there are more things to that. Okay, do you think anything we missed in this? Being active, being responsive, being alert, yes, that makes us agile. Anything else which we do in organization, or which we behave as individuals, that also makes us agile, though it is not so implicit.
Be
It's not
transparent.
so explicit. uh, okay, yes, being transparent. What else? Okay, so let me uh, quickly tell you one small analogy. uh, let's say you are celebrating one of your colleagues birthday, and you got to know about it, and you want to order cake. uh, let's say for full team, you want to order 5 kg cake, and uh, you quickly search in Google, and you find out that one of the good cake shop you have heard of, a lot of reviews you check, and then you say, okay, fine, let's go to that person and order the cake. Good, we found one cake shop. We are not late, so quickly one of you call up that person and explain the requirement and all that, and that shop owner agrees to deliver the cake as per your specification. Agrees. Has not delivered. Do you think once that person agrees, because it's a short notice, takes care of your specifications also, agrees to whatever you want, pricing, negotiation, everything works out well, and then you order that cake. Do you think, as a team, as an individual, do you think that cake shop is being agile?
No, I think because he is not responsible to deliver the things that we have ordered in a given time like
Okay,
that.
okay, okay. Consider that that person says, yes, I will deliver. So at that moment, when that person agrees to it, then that thought process you have in mind that yes, this shop is being agile. They are able to receive. They are able to be being responsive, alert, active, taking our requirement and starting the work. So at that moment, yes, you will have a perception that yes, this shop is an agile shop, have agility in itself. Okay, they deliver the cake. Let's say you want it at 4 o'clock. That shop delivers a cake also at 4 o'clock. Do you think that that shop is agile shop, having agility in itself in running their business?
No, because well, not entirely, because there's been a request and they've delivered on that request. It's very straight line. I mean, they've been responsive, but they haven't if you had changed your order partway through, or in fact they'd come to deliver it and they got caught in the traffic and they found some other way through the traffic, such that in the end they delivered something that was what was required, that would be agile.
Yes. So let's say, okay, great point. Okay, so let's say cake comes to the organization at 4 o'clock, and still you feel you it it is perceived as agile, but you don't know whether that shop is exhibiting agility or not in true sense. Okay. Uh, so you have ordered 5 kg cake, and uh, you wanted some strawberries in that, you wanted blueberries in that, and when you cut the cake, you see strawberries. um, the kind of strawberries which are used, blueberries are good, but the kind of strawberries which are used are not as fresh as you expected. Do you think, though the person agreed to the price, though the person delivered in very short time, gave you the product, do you think that shop has exhibited agility in their business? Rosie, any thoughts here?
No, I think that if they were exhibiting agility, they would have indicated that their strawberries were not up to par, and they would have come to some agreement with you with regards to what might meet your needs, but not include strawberries that were not up to par.
Yes. So what is happening in some of the organization is, uh, teams are being fast, active, alert in the name of agility, but in that, teams tend to forget that quality is implicit, that is missing. uh, Sometimes not only teams, sometimes product owners who are demanding work from the teams, they also come and telling team that you are agile team, so you can do this because you are agile, you can do that. But the implicit stuff of delivering something with high quality is being ignored, is being overlooked. That is where some of the organizations are looking agile from outside superficially, but from inside they are fragile, and that is surfaced once the product goes to the production environment, and then real issues start when a lot of showstoppers start coming to the delivery teams, and that is when it slows down, because nobody pays for showstoppers, nobody pays for defects. So it eats away team's time, and then when it starts eating away team's time, the credibility of vendor goes down, and obviously more business cannot be churned out, more features cannot be churned out, because time goes more in fixing those defects rather than creating more features. So they were looking agile from outside, but it was superficially agile. It was fragile when really the product is created, started falling apart. So agile does not only mean being active, being alert, being collaborative. All this plus creating value often. Value means having quality in the delivery. Having, as individuals, when we are communicating with someone, we are communicating, but then if lack of quality is there in that communication, then there is no point in responding fast, because the quality is lacking. That may break the communication and going forward. So agility is everywhere. So quality is not so explicit, other things are explicit, quality is missed. So that's what I wanted to point out. So quality is implicit in agility. There is nothing like quality is someone else's responsibility. The teams which call themselves as agile teams, they are the ones who are having built-in quality. Okay, so the last component was missing, that is quality. And once that is there, that makes individuals that makes teams, that makes departments, that makes organizations agile. We can have a mindset. If we have all this, we can have a mindset that yes, we are going to be responsive, we are going to be collaborative, we are going to be active, we are going to be good listeners, what our customer wants, to understand what our customer wants, and then we'll take care of the quality. We'll have checklists, and we'll make sure that what we are giving is what is expected, and that is done. Do you think having agile mindset with these components, what we have seen just now, is good enough for having agility in the system? Someone was answering?
Yeah, Puneet, this is Karthik. Yes, I think it is good enough.
Okay.
For basic level, it is good enough, I think.
Basic level, it is good enough. Okay. Okay. Great. Is it sufficient?
No.
No, for sufficient level, if we improve any other points, it may be more sufficient.
Mm,
Adding to these points, if we add more than giving the predictability, so it will be more sufficient.
Okay, great. So let's look at that. Let's see some of the. Let's skip this because there are other parts. We are anyway. We have spoken about those responsiveness and quality. Okay, can you quickly tell me why feedback has become so important in creating agility in the system? Shorter feedback cycles.
Because one side has the technical expertise and the other side has an expectation. So in this situation, the baker or the person that made the cake's got the technical expertise, but the person ordering it's got the expectation. So if you've got a long feedback loop, then everybody's going to be disappointed. If you've got a short feedback loop, then they're going to be able to alter their product to meet the expectations of the purchaser.
Yeah, true. In current business scenario, frequent feedbacks are important. Reason is because the environment is changing frequently. Uh, uh, New requirements are coming. You need to quickly see whether what you are producing is what is expected from the customer or not. Yes, this is also one of the reason, as well as in agile environment, we do not have set of processes for the teams. It is not like traditional world when set of the processes are given to the teams like PMI world, um, wherein team members are given set of the processes, standards, way of operating as teams, as departments. And if you do so, then yes, you are on track. Because other teams have been successful, this team also will be successful. That is not the case in the agile world. Reason behind that is because in traditional environment, uh, first thing is what was expected was not changing often, as well as the environment itself was not changing often. Here, the business environment is dynamic, as well as the environment in which teams work, that is also dynamic. So that's the reason standard processes do not work on agile teams. Agile teams processes evolve as they move forward, and they can evolve if they get frequent feedbacks because nobody has given them processes. So they, by their feedbacks, frequent feedbacks, they will evolve their processes. They will course correct themselves and evolve their processes. That's the reason frequent feedbacks are required. So frequent feedbacks with the agile mindset, yes, it will work. It will help a lot, like daily stand-ups, like retrospections. Need not be retrospection at the end of the sprints. Anytime you think things going off track, go meet, discuss, look back. and improvise, inspect, and adapt. That is with the mindset. If you have developed the mindset, yes, we will go and do it that because that's how you want to improve going forward. The question is that sufficient? So that is what we are going to look at. So yes, all these are good things, but then that this having this much is not sufficient. That is where organizations, industry started realizing it when agile way of working came into picture around 22 years, 21 years back. Uh, Having agile mindset, building agile mindset was the goal. That is how organizations started targeting becoming agile, bringing agility in their day-to-day executions. But then later on, it was found out that having that much is not sufficient. As and when they were practicing, they understood. So then DevOps came into picture, and DevOps says that DevOps is a cultural and technical movement in organization. So agile mindset brings cultural movement in organization. Technical movement in organization is brought in by lean technical practices. So we'll talk about those, then we'll merge these two, and then we'll see how it enhances the agility. So let's move ahead. This we have already discussed. Let us assume, you all member are part of one team, and you are an agile team. Let us declare that you are an agile team. That means you have agile mindset, and agile mindset you have seen that you are active, alert, responsive, collaborative, and quality oriented. You are like that shopkeeper who was able to deliver the cake, not the cake with not so fresh strawberries. You are the shopkeeper. You are shopkeeper. You're part of that shopkeeper team who could deliver cake with fresh strawberries, and you were perfectly received by your client, and you really proved yourself to be agile. You are an agile team. Okay, all right. You have all that with you. Now let me throw some scenario, and let's see what happens to the agile team now. And this will help us develop an understanding that having agile mindset with, when I say agile mindset as a quality oriented mindset also, not only active mindset. Okay, now let us say your product is deployed. It's a new product your team, you as a team has created, and that is deployed in the production environment for the first time. Do you think, first question is, do you think defects will come from the production environment?
Yes, it will.
Who was that?
Karthik here.
Yeah, so defects will come, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Uh, Let us say uh, a critical defect comes to your team, and your customer is losing. It's your customer is financial bank into financial transactions, a bank into financial transactions, and losing $1,000 per minute. Okay, and that defect has come, which is causing that in the business. What do you think? What your product owner is supposed to do?
First they have to cross check like whether it is already reproduced like that or not, because for some cases it might work in the development environment. When we moving to the production, we might get that kind of defective based on the dependencies or anything else in the production setups. So maybe we can find the root cause whether it is already reproduced or not. If not, means we can convey our stakeholders like, so this one is find out right new. So maybe we can accordingly we can have a look into it.
Hmm. Hmm. So okay, so you try to reproduce it, right? So when you're trying to reproduce as a team, you decided first product owner decided yes, we should look at it. Product owner did not say no to the customer, and then your team did not say no to the product owner. So that means your team is having agile mindset, right? Being responsive.
Yes,
Not only because it is $1,000 per minute loss. Had it been lesser also, then also you could have welcomed it, right?
yes, correct.
Correct. So now, uh, yeah. So now the defect has come, and now the situation is your team does not have neither unit test cases, automated unit test cases, nor does not have automated end-to-end test cases. Basically, not you will have it, but not elaborate ones. Here and there, it is taken care. Not everything is automated, or not 90% is automated. And this defect, where this defect has come, is in a situation, is in an area which you have not covered in your automation test cases. What do you think? What will happen?
Maybe like we can get an idea like, so in case if this point is alone missed means we might get some kind of assumption like whether the product is quality or not, like that we might get some point, because if it is a major defect means and it was missed, maybe we can't able to assure that it is a quality delivery like that.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So, okay, let me put this question in a different way. Had there been uh, unit test cases uh, uh, covering almost 95% of the code, end-to-end functional test cases covering most of the scenarios, uh, critical scenarios, at least most of the critical scenarios in the system, uh, how it would have helped? If someone else wants to take a shot,
Yeah, actually, if you need
go ahead.
some issues, is there any it's coming from any dependency or any third party side means we can't able to handle from our I mean as an application
Correct.
side.
Let's say it is not third party. It's not third party. It is in your
Okay.
system.
Okay.
So, Grace here, Puneet.
Yeah.
So it is like probably if I had the question right, might be I have to revisit the requirement. There might be a start where the requirement is false, and there might be a miss out from my end or from the client side where I am not. I mean, as in from as I'm an agile, so I would have missed on the journey if any requirement has been newly added, which is not covered, which would have impacted the scenario. So
Okay.
the
Uh, so here, just to speed it up, you check that and you found out the requirement was not missed. It was part of the journey map you have created. It's very much there. But what you have found out is that your unit test cases are not sufficient and your automation test cases are not sufficient.
So we can give the feedback to the team member who has write the test cases so that in future they will not repeat the same mistakes.
But why would you give feedback? What is the problem it is creating not having them?
So might be they missed while writing it intentionally, or may not be able to understand like out
Okay,
cases.
correct. So you are trying to say that that caused the defect leakage?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, that's one. Or there could be a possibility that, okay, so let's not go to that. Let's say if you had unit test cases and uh, someone did not run those unit test cases, then the environment automation built and all that skipped those because of less time, wanted quicker feedback, skipped some of the steps in the CI. So, uh, and then delivered. But then uh, the situation is that if you had the unit test cases, then what could have happened? Though
This problem
defect
may
leakage
not
would
have
have happened. Okay, one situation is you had unit test cases, but defect was leaked because someone toggled the unit test cases in the CI integration environment just to get the quick feedback and deliver it. Someone played with that. Let's say if in that situation some defect would have come, what you could have done? You have unit test cases, you have automation test cases. After checking whether requirements are whether whatever is missed, is it really missed in the journey map or not? You found out journey map is all right, everything's fine. Then what you could have done?
So we
Yeah,
will
yeah,
take
go.
the responsibility of the issue and fix it.
Yeah. Prior to that, you could have run the unit test case in your local. And when defect came, you quickly run the unit test case, quickly run the automation test case, and see where exactly it is failing. Because unit test case will help you localize the problem, right? So what is happening? If you had the unit test cases, if you had the automation test cases in place, it is helping you to localize the problem faster. Are you with me?
Yes, Pandit.
Yeah. So if it helps you localize the problem faster, then it complements your agile mindset, or it doesn't. I'll ask you a question again.
Puneet, yeah, Puneet, in this case, Puneet, if the problem is occurring only on the production environment, but it is not happening on the local environment, means then what is the
Yeah.
as you mentioned that P1 issue has been raised and it is happening only on the prod environment. It is happening by the end-to-end users level.
It is
Maybe
happening in, yeah, so it is happening in your environment also. In your environment also it is failing, but you are not able to localize if you don't have the test cases with you, automation test cases with you, which help you in localizing the problem faster. If you don't have it, it'll take you some time to localize. It may take 1 day, it may take 2 days also, right? But if you have automation test cases, it'll quickly you run those test cases and you'll say, oh, here it is failing.
okay.
So then when having automation test cases, be it unit test cases or end-to-end functional test cases, is it helping you become faster or not as a team or individual?
Yeah, faster on.
Is it helping you become more agile or not when you become faster?
Yeah, more agile.
So that is where we should see that if you don't have unit test cases, how much ever agile mindset you have, you're welcoming the change, you are open to look at it, you have left some of the low priority things, you quickly started looking at it. But then if you don't have your unit test cases in place or automation test cases in place, how much ever agile you are in the mind, it will not help you beyond that. This is one scenario I've spoken about. Think of the other one that someone else mentioned, that if you have unit test cases in place, this defect would not have leaked also. If someone had not toggled it in the CI integration just to get quick feedback, it wouldn't have even leaked. If it had not leaked, then this team would not have got into fixing this defect rather than creating more features. So had that approach helped team become faster to reach market or not, rather than spending time in fixing defects?
Yes, it is.
So yes, it is. The technology is helping you become faster, become agile. If you don't have it, we will talk about it where exactly we are getting stopped in our agility journey. This is one scenario. Let's look at the other one. Now quickly we'll look at it, a change request to add a new product type. Okay, so let's say let's say you are creating a e-commerce application, and let's say it's part of Amazon, and Amazon started with some of the products selling, and then they started adding new products. And they started new product. So initially their design looked like this. I'll tell you why we are talking about this. Their product class looks like this. It has some name related to the product, then availability, then size of the product. Size is related to because they are catering to laptops, let's say, then weight catering to laptop. And then they started one fine day started selling fragrances, and then they want to put the fragrance detail also here. And this when they put the fragrance details, then people are interested in country origin of mm, the perfume. So that also they started putting, and they are putting that in product class. Now this has happened. This is how they are designing their application, and this has happened. A change request comes to the team to add a new product type in the e-commerce application. As an example, I took an example of Amazon. It can be any application. So let's say any application, new product is added, has to be added, and that new product is something. New product could be a charger, mobile charger. So then it'll have 5 volt and all those informations, right? So that information also has to go sit inside this product class, right? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
This is how they're designing. So
Yes.
when this change request came, they went and put that in this class. Now the tricky situation here is, if they're updating the same class, then there is psychology of fear. That is, they have broken, because the same class, a lot of functionalities are existing in this. They might break some of the existing functionality. With that fear, what they will do, that team will do regression testing in various areas. And when they do regression testing, be it automated or be it manual, every time running the regression testing, whenever you are doing some change request, it takes its own sweet time. When it is manual, it's a nightmare. When it's not manual also, because you need to run that in the complete suite, test suite you are supposed to run, because you have fear of breaking down functionalities here and there. Once you run those regression testing for frequent changes, one change request, you run the regression testing, you're waiting for the feedback. Do you think, even if it is automation test cases available, still it'll take 3 hours, 4 hours to get the feedback from the complete system if everything is intact? Do you think it is making the team slow or faster, this approach, putting that in product class? Because that is creating fear of breaking other things. Are you with me, Karthik, Rosie, Grace?
I think it's making them slower.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I think it's making them slower.
Yeah, and the main reason behind that is fear of breaking the existing functionality. That slows us down because we end up performing regression testing, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what is the fault? What is the fault here? Fault is that we ourselves has slowed down our system because of our inappropriate way of designing the application. We ended up designing, we had agile mindset, we always welcome changes, welcome changes, but when we got into designing the application, coding the application, we're going wrong here and there. So while designing, we created this product class rather than use design principles to create this loosely coupled application. We created tightly coupled application. and that has slowed us down. Imagine the situation if you had followed the design principle while developing this application. Instead of putting that in one product class, if you had plugins like this representing different products, one is laptop, another is Dio stick, another is charger, and whatever is common you keep here, and whatever is specific to laptop you keep here, specific to Dio stick you keep here, specific to charger you keep here. Do you think if you had followed these principles while developing this application along with your mindset, agile mindset, that makes the team more agile in totality, I should rather say? Let's see how. If we had designed it like this, and then another requirement comes, and that requirement is adding a new product, nothing, there is no issue. You go and create another plugin. How many other new products you want to add? Put here. Outside world, mhm. Outside world is going to, it's not letting me create there. Okay, new product XYZ. Outside world is going to talk to product and going to tell which product it wants to access. So you have plugged in XYZ product, a new product. You just plug in new product. And when you've just plugged in new product, you have not updated this class. I mean, you have not updated this class. There is no worry. You have not modified, neither you have modified this class, nor you have modified this class, nor you have modified this class. You have just plug in XYZ. So then you will test the uh, class which is just added. And you are so confident because your design is loosely coupled design. Your design has not caused any problem anywhere else. So repercussion the of the bringing in this plugin will not be there in the system. You just need to test that area. And when you need to test that area, so it's natural that you will get quicker feedback. And you don't end up doing regression testing for full system. Test that because your design is loosely coupled. So do you think having design principles, design approaches which create loosely coupled applications make your team agile in totality? It increases your agility. Do you think so? Are you with me, Resi,
Yes.
Karthik?
Yes, Puneet.
Yeah. So this is what we talk about when we talk about DevOps. That having agile mindset, yes, definitely it is good, very good, but that is not sufficient. To create agility in totality, you need lean technology understandings. What are the lean way of creating designs, cleaner way of creating designs, and that is where it brings in agility in totality. Let's quickly look at one more thing. Have you observed this graph? You would not find because I thought through working with multiple teams, and then I've created this design. So I don't think you will find this graph in if you search on Google. So this graph is like you might have observed that teams when they are sprinting, uh, they the number of defects start increasing at the end of the sprint. Some of the teams, they struggle end of the sprint rather than in the beginning. Have you observed? Or it's a common scenario? Karthik, Grace,
Sorry,
Rosie.
once again.
Yeah, so my question is, have you observed that some of the teams struggle at the end of the sprint in fixing defects and meet the deadline? Demo date?
Yeah, yes,
And
I faced.
yeah, And what is the reason behind that? Because there are so many defects existing, not only existing from the beginning, they are found out at the end of the sprint.
Right, yeah.
So, any reason why such things happen within the team?
Yeah, it is like so delivery was not at the planned timeline. So that is the reason why it caused the sprint delivery also. Because we have a
Yeah,
set of timeline for the developers as well as the testers, right? So developers should deliver their planned task within the timeline. Then only they can able to achieve the effects within the sprint planning itself.
correct, correct. So yeah. So what happens is, like, in such situations, we say that though we are sprinting, but we have created a mini waterfall within the sprint, right? Because first we develop and then we test at the end. Now the situation is different. Why it is happening here is because when when we say we are agile team, we are supposed to have collaborative environment right from the beginning, agility in our execution right from the beginning. So test cases should be written from the beginning itself, handed over. It's a SDLC life cycle should be on the day-to-day basis. These are the days of the sprint, day-to-day basis. SDLC life cycle. Not that testing happens here, last few days of the sprint. That is why that mini waterfall is created. It is this situation is become has become more critical because the team when the team follows TDD instead of TDD, they follow DTD. Okay, so DTD is development driven testing. You write the code first, and then you write test cases. So it is development driven testing. To code first and then go write the test cases. When we write the test cases, it's natural that when we are writing a test cases at the end and we start testing our unit test cases, it's natural that we have not tested before. More defects will come. So defects start popping up here and then slowly start going down. So popping up of defect is also happening at the end. And when you have not tested the code in the beginning, then there is a possibility that the kind of defects you could have found out in the beginning if you had done the TDD, test driven development. So we'll see if we have time. We can talk about it. So so if you had done that way, we could have found out the defects in the beginning, and you could have fixed them. And this time, whole this area could have been given for functional testing. But here, functional testing is also happening. Here, unit testing is also happening. Then you can imagine the kind of defects will be surfaced, and then those will be fixed. So a lot of pressure is created at the end of the sprint. So there are only two, three outcomes. One is either teams hide the defects from product owner. I've seen that happening, or teams uh, do not give demo. That also is possibility because they cannot give because there are so many defects open, or they give demo with the defects open. These are the only options available. So, do you think having this environment is making team agile in their execution while sprinting? Is it slowing them down? Because they cannot give the demo, they cannot create the output, so they're not fast in delivering the quality output. So is it slowing them down?
It will.
Is it impacting their agility? Karthik?
Yeah, Puneet, I think it will impact their. I think it is not their fault because if the test case could have been improved at the initial stage, definitely this bug will be addressed.
Yeah, so it impacts their agility, right, in the execution,
Yeah.
because
Yes. Yeah.
they may not be able to give demo. Okay, so
Because at last the pressure will be from their end only.
yes, definitely. So do you think knowing, welcoming the change, all that is definitely very, very important. But is that sufficient enough?
No, it is not sufficient. We need
Yeah.
to predict whether it is depends on the current, like for example, whether it is mandatory or not. Like that, we have to check. If it is possible, means we can accommodate the changes, or else we can skip that one.
Correct, correct. And then wherein you get the technologies, you get different approaches. So we have less time, so I cannot talk about TDD, but then I can tell you the TDD will help you test driven development, which is opposite of DDT, what we saw, development driven testing. So
Okay.
TDD helps you, TDD helps you change this graph. It helps you change the graph to this. You find out more defects here, fix more defects here, and then far lesser defects are left at the end of the sprint. That is
Yeah,
when your quality increases. Yeah, that is when your
definitely.
quality increases. Yeah, things will fall in place. So we will not go into detail of TDD. Uh, there are, and then there are one this what we have spoken about today is with respect to technical practices which are enhancing the agility within the team which is involved in development of the feature. Uh, there are other teams also, operations teams, which are deploying the application in the production environment. So one is this team, operations team. So this team becomes faster, bringing in development, new ways of developing design principles in places, loosely coupled applications, then practices, unit testing, automation test cases, and TDD approach that makes this team uh, agile in totality. Does department become agile having only this team adapt to better ways of creating software? No. Reason is because operations team may be using older approaches of deploying the application. So that is where the other tooling comes into picture. That is Docker creating the virtual machines of your create the virtual machine wherein your application sits in. Just quickly take the virtual machine and deploy there, rather than writing scripts, puppet scripts, and all that to create the environment, and on top of it you go deploy the application. So tooling, DevOps toolings help in creating systems faster from the operations perspective, and that is when the whole department becomes agile in totality. We will not talk about in detail about that, so I just wanted to tell you these things. So DDT approach, unit non-unit testable code you end up writing, and then you're finding, as we have discussed, finding defects in the functional testing, which you could have found out in the unit testing in the beginning. And if you're not doing that, team is becoming slow and may not be able to give demos. This is very important when we talk about agility in the system, agility in totality. The maximum efficiency you can achieve is until you hit the weakest link in the system. Can you tell me what we have discussed so far? We have discussed about agile mindset. We have discussed about lean technical practices. I walked you through having agile mindset. We saw that your team is agile, and then walked you through different scenarios. So can you tell me what was the weakest link your team hit in those scenarios?
Uh, it is like that is like test case is the major thing, because if we covered all the things there, it means we can deliver the quality output.
Hmm. Hmm. So test cases, that is engineering practice, that became the weakest link if you don't follow it. Then another scenario where I spoke about the change in request.
For the, yeah, it is like for the change request also. So instead of directly getting into the work, first of all we can check it at the UD test level or else automation test level.
Agree. And something I spoke about the designing. So what was that? So where
It's
was
like
the weakest link hit?
that is type of development like that is loosely coupled or tightly coupled, like that we have discussed.
Yeah,
That is, we developers has to
application.
follow the design principles.
Yeah. So if you don't follow, the maximum efficiency you can achieve is what mindset you have developed. And once you hit the design principle, lack of the designing, tightly coupled design, that is what is the weakest link in the system. Beyond that, you cannot achieve. How much of a
Okay.
fast
Okay.
you are receiving the request, but then if your design does not allow you, then you will struggle through putting the code and then doing a regression testing, and that is the maximum you can do. So that is the weakest link.
Definitely agree.
Uh, Another weakest link, the third one, when we spoke about the test-driven development or DDT.
So instead of after developing, we are writing the test case, because instead of that we have to write the test case before getting to the development, and we have to check all the possibilities and functional test cases are covered, so that we can avoid the defects at the end of the sprint, and we can
Yeah.
have some time. And not only that, we have to do the unit testing at the time of development itself.
Yes, correct. So that approach of creating software, is the weakest link in the third example. So maximum we could achieve is as a mindset, nothing beyond that, because our practices were not all right in those scenarios. So system thinking, if you want to improve the complete system, look at what are the weakest link in the system and remove them. That is when your system will become a efficient system as a whole. That is when your system will become agile system, and that will help in achieving business agility. So that brings our webinar to an end. With that, I have last question. What is the learning in today's webinar? If you can share a few points, some of you.
So Puneet, this is Karthik here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so today what I learned is, yeah, so first of all I learned like how we should deliver the quality product. It depends, first of all it depends on the test cases. First one I just learned that point. And after that, how the team should be in agile mindset. That is not only BA or PO have to follow the process, even developer has to follow the process. That is like if they follow the design principles, definitely most of the things will be covered and we can avoid the defects or anything else. So all the teams should be in same agile mindset.
Mm-hmm. Great. What about Grace? Grace, if Grace is there, Rosie.
We also have Rajesh, we have
Yeah,
Shankar
Rajesh.
Krishnan, this Shahjahan, and we have
Yeah.
Efra.
Rajesh, what is your learning? Few points, need not be elaborate one. What comes to your mind? Yeah, please share.
Rajesh, feel free to unmute your mic because we've unmuted it from our end.
So this question is not to judge anybody's understanding. It's just to see that how you feel about it, your idea about what you have heard.
And also, Puneet, yeah, this Karthik. Not only that, I also felt like so only the BA or TL or B, that is the PO, following the process agile is not that is sufficient for the team. Like that I thought, but after attending the session, I get to know like even the developer has to should be in agile mindset. So then only
Yes,
we
correct.
can deliver
Very true.
quality output.
Very true.
So that is
Very
the
true.
most important point which I understood in this learning,
Great.
and definitely it will helpful.
Great. Great. Hmm. I think Irfan, you mentioned, Sushil, you mentioned Irfan.
The individual's name is Ifra, IFRA, Ifra Khan.
Ifra Khan, if you can share something, any thoughts?
The question again is the learning of the session. I
Yeah.
actually missed you put it. So the session is it was very crisp as in understanding like agile is as the product, but then the learning is all about it has design principles where you have to fix there itself. and whatever the unit testing or the automation cases that has been pending, that should be fixed there. So all should be in line, and it should not slow the agile movement. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
one word.
Good, good. Okay, great. So feel free to come back to us if you have any questions related to what we have discussed. Uh, uh, in the sessions in the certification courses, we go deeper into it and see that how we build up these practices and help organization achieve agility in totality. Uh, Mindset, definitely. Beyond that, we need technology, lean way of creating software. So all that makes uh, totality in agility a reality. So let us know if any questions you have in future, and we would love to answer your questions.
Yeah,
With this, let us wind up the session, and we'll connect after a month on another webinar.